Now, worried by the high cost of food, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has ordered the immediate suspension of taxes on farm produce within the state for the next 6 months. While during a meeting with farmers on food security, the governor issued the declaration at the Fashola Agribusiness Industrial Hub in Oyo Town. The governor also promised to provide subsidies and more input to farmers to boost food production. Arise correspondent Olutayo Famous Cole has details in this report.
Oyo State covers a total of 28,454 square kilometers of landmass, and agriculture is the mainstay of our economy. Yet the price of food commodities continues to skyrocket, with the masses at the receiving end. This stakeholders meeting between top government functionaries and farmers in Oyo State is designed to ensure food security and is a direct response towards addressing all grey areas in the agri value chain.
What we are getting out of the farms is almost enough to feed us. So why are we having food inflation, to the level that we have in Oyo State? And they were able to tell us some of the challenges that they are faced with, and we took far-reaching decisions here.
Organizers of this forum say the meeting is not a talk shop, but a deliberate attempt at making far-reaching decisions to make life more easy for residents. Authorities here say they have concluded plans to provide subsidies to farmers across the agric value chain and the suspension of revenue collection, amongst other strategic inputs.
If we're able to remove those clogs, food production will also go up. They mentioned the issue of tractor hiring to clear the land. And I said, okay, look, we did the calculation. Right now they're being charged 30,000 naira per hectare, for clearance. I said, okay, it's a little bit on the high side. So we said government will subsidize the amount that they are paying for clearance. And we have put 600 million naira on the table now. And at the subsidy level that we're looking at, that should be enough to clear close to 120,000 hectares of land.
Farmers here say they are confronted by myriads of challenges, from unmotorable link roads to farming colonies, excessive taxation, unavailability of farm inputs, unstable electricity supply, and lack of storage facilities. They urge government to show more commitment towards ensuring increased food security and production.
We used to produce ice there, but to process it is a problem for us. The machine we have in Igora, no lights.
Number one, we need the modern farming in Oyo State, as government do in other sectors like health, education, and others. Oyo State farmers need traditional modern ways of farming.
The meeting had in attendance farmers from across all food production value chain. Meanwhile, authorities here promise to provide more agric extension services and reduce haulage costs. Olutayo Famous Cole, Arise News, Fashola.
We're joined now by agriculture expert Nnabue, Reginald Nnabue. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. I mean, this must come as good news to you, coming from Oyo State there, where the governor has lifted, at least for 6 months, no taxes, for farmers.
Exactly.
I mean, how does that come to you?
That's a very, very welcome development, because we have to be precise about food production. We cannot continue the way we are going about food. First of all, the absence of taxes, because that's a very major problem.
In fact, I was going to start by asking you, I mean, the impact of these taxes on food production in the first place, before we talk about this relief.
Imagine that over the Christmas period, I was privileged to have had an order to produce rice. So I had to go to Benue State. Actually, the target was for me to produce and supply 4,000 bags of rice. So we had to go to Benue to produce. But this rice will move from Benue to Benin. Moving from Benue, you have the food checks all over the country, where they say is internal revenue generation, where you have people on the roadsides that stop the food trucks. You have to pay here, you move to the next local government, you pay another money, you move to the next one, and these guys are serious. So that adds to the cost of food. At the end of the day, by the time the food gets to its destination, the cost of transportation, the issue of, like they said, our road situations are not something that anybody would wish on farmers. But here you have a situation where the roads are bad. You are not even very sure that the trucks will get to where their destination. And then you now have different local governments. Taxes, when you talk about taxation is something that happens and is deductible at source. If you are not creating employment and you think you can tax, it's not going to work. Because we should be concentrating in creating jobs so that we have more people working and being taxed than for us to have a situation where you have people moving food. Some persons have gone to invest. At the end of the day, to move the trucks that I had to move from Benue to Benin cost so much. Provision of security for the trucks to move cost. At the end of the day, we spent millions of naira in achieving what we had to achieve for our clients. So what the governor is saying is that when you produce food, your food should be able to get to the consumers without you having to pay extra costs, which is what it's supposed to be. And this helps the farmers to produce more, because now you have some lean resources that you are supposed to have used to solve those issues that you can invest into your production.
Yeah.
So those little tricklets are actually what makes the stream at the end of the day.
You've raised a very important point, because I recall then we had actually featured a report back then about these multiple taxes that farmers and even everyday Nigerian had to go through, with people carrying all the bottles and pieces on our major roads. Now, with this coming in for the next 6 months, how best can this be seen to work, knowing full well that you have to traverse
across
local governments to local government before you go through that particular state? So what do you see happening in the light of what the governor has just said? How can this work?
You see, the governor has said that they won't allow food. That's one thing that most of us are not seeing. Niger State has gotten up and said that the food is not going to leave the states. Then Oyo State is saying, okay, we are going to take taxes off, but the food should remain within. So, which means that we are getting to a point where it's all about the communities, the states. Charity begins at home. So the game is changing. So states that are not producing will have problems. Now, the food is moving within the state, so the taxes have been removed. So what it means is that much more food will reach to the consumers, and it will be cheaper. Because at the end of the day, the taxes have helped the farmers to be able to do certain things that they couldn't have, it would have cost them more to do. So the food is remaining within the states. It's when it leaves the state that the taxes come to play.
Right.
So it is a very strategic way of encouraging domestic cultivation of food within the states. But we have to translate it. Like you just said, the local government situation. Our farming has to go back to the local communities. That's where our agriculture is. Our agriculture is not in the cities. They are in the rural communities. So this, including the subsidy that he's talking about, the issue of tractorization, 600 million, 120,000 hectares of farmland, that is an excellent development. So what it's going to do is that it's going to help the farmers. Like I had a situation where we, like I mentioned in one of the interviews that we had, that we are outsourcing the general public to provide the agricultural implements. Because that's the only way we can bridge the gap of what is needed and what is available. The government is doing great You can see that the federal government is vetting into agriculture. You can see that the states have begun to take the mantle on their own.
Do you see the fear here? Sorry, Angie. Do you see the fear here? If you say the produce from state A would not leave to go into state B, keep in mind that we have different states that are naturally endowed in different crop production.
Yes.
So how do we now move these? For instance, if you're not into tomatoes, how do you get tomatoes in your place if you say you're locking up, so to speak?
I'm not even sure that's the plan, to absolutely lock up, the agricultural produce within the states. Whatever is going outside the states will be taxed.
Yes.
Is that not what it is in the case of Oyo State?
What they are saying, that's what they started from Niger State, is that they are going to ensure that the people of Niger State get fed first before they can start taking out to the other states.
Isn't there a problem in that?
There's a problem. Now, the problem is that, like you said, some states cultivate certain crops, some other states cultivate certain crops. So what you're saying is that you are going to have to cultivate everything that you need
to survive.
I know it's not going to work. So there has to be a compromise. It has to be certain amount.
Partnership.
Yes. And you should insist, okay, maybe 40% of the food that is produced in Niger State should remain with him, so that we can serve that. But we belong to a nation. It's a family.
Absolutely. Maybe it will encourage healthy competition, really, among the states. Like it's been pointed out, every state, all 36 states in this country, have an area of comparative advantage when it comes to food production. Let's talk about transportation. Before you came on, we had the beautiful Red Line rail launched in Lagos there. Imagine a situation where you actually have that all across the country. How much impact would it have on the agriculture sector?
Let me be very frank with you. The rail line wasn't produced for the transportation or movement of persons. It's basically about the movement of goods. But because it's a safer and a surer system of transportation, it can also move large numbers of persons. So we have a situation where we use trailers and trucks to move food. And you pass through the Nigerian roads every day. So having a situation where we have railways the way we used to have before, in the 80s, 70s, 80s, you will move from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. And the same railway systems were used to move our foods and other heavy-duty implements. And that will transform the country, because it becomes easier. If you put your food from Sokoto to get to Port Harcourt, it goes. If you want the food to move to Onitsha, it moves. So the states should begin to do their own part. It is not something that is going to happen from the federals, from the top, the federal government all the time. The state governments have to wake up and take responsibilities and begin to solve the problems within their own confines. Then the cumulative problem solving, the connectivity is what at the end of the day will achieve that which we need to achieve for us to be able to get to where we are going
Very quickly, the governor, Makinde, talked about inputs for farmers to boost food production. What kind of inputs are we looking at here? How important is it?
Like I keep saying, our old farming cycle has already, the farmlands have already been depleted so much. And we have lands that are overgrown with grasses. We need to open new farmlands in the rural communities. I think the projects, the implements that we should be looking at is bulldozers to open the farmlands, the new farmlands, tractors to do soil preparation. We have to do irrigation systems so that we are farming all year round. Nigeria should become a farming country. We should not be known as an oil-producing country. We should be known as an agricultural country that produces food. Absolutely. And when we do that, we should invest into commercial agriculture. We should actually do large farms with storage facilities. You had the farmers. They are saying that there's no storage. At the end of the day, we have tomatoes come out in quantities, but we cannot store them. We can't process them. Like the lady that was saying, they were producing rice in Ibora. But now there's no plants. I had to use 4 processing plants in Benue to achieve, and we couldn't even achieve 2,000 bags within the Christmas period. And that's because there's no value addition. We need to invest into agricultural implements. It is an investment. We are not asking that we should do charity to the farmers. Charity doesn't work when it comes to business models. What we should do is to provide these agricultural implements as a service. The farmers are willing to pay.
But like the governor is saying, let's subsidize it. Agricultural subsidy is government intervention in helping the people to produce the food that will make it possible for us to become food secure.
Very well said. Reginald Nnabue is agricultural industrialist. Thank you so much. Always a delight having your news.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.